considered the speed at which you move your arms? Maybe you're trying to lengthen your stroke and slow down that stroke rate. Or are you trying to speed up your arms, as surely that's going to make you swim faster?
Well, it's no surprise that there's more to working out how fast you should move your arms when swimming. And that's what we're here today to investigate.
I'm going to start by dropping the bombshell. I don't have the answer, and I don't know what stroke rate or speed your arms should move for you as an individual. But I would suggest you hang around though, because we're going to be explaining why there is no magic number, and more importantly, how to dial in what is best for you and your personal swim stroke.
Let's get to the technical stuff first, so we can make sure we're on the same page when it comes to terminology, because let's face it, how fast you move your arms while swimming is a bit of a mouthful. Arm speed is measured as the time it takes per stroke cycle averaged over a whole length, or the number of strokes you take in a minute. If you're measuring the seconds per cycle, that's every 2 strokes, or the seconds per stroke, that's every arm cycle, then obviously the lower the number, the faster your stroke rate, and therefore the faster your arms must be moving. It's taking less time for each arm stroke, so therefore your arms must be moving faster.
When it comes to the numbers you'll hear bandied about by coaches and serious athletes, it tends to be either cycles or strokes per minute. They're kind of self-explanatory. Cycles per minute would be the amount of times that both arms will do a complete stroke in that minute. So your right and your left arm will pull, and strokes per minute is each individual separate stroke, and it's that one that tends to be the more commonly used number. So if you did search for average strokes per minute, it's likely to be that higher number, so the single strokes.
So what then is a normal stroke rate? Well, like Heather said earlier, there isn't one. In fact, if you took a selection of swimmers all swimming the same distance, you could see a range as high as 50 strokes per minute. That is, you could see people in the same event swimming the same distance, some people with a stroke rate as low as 50, with others with a stroke rate as high as 100 strokes per minute.
This is not the end of the video. We now need to work out what is the best stroke rate for us as individuals, whether you need to increase that stroke rate or decrease that stroke rate. Stroke rate is an important metric to improve on because it affects rhythm, speed, and efficiency. If your stroke rate is too slow, it could be an indication that there's too much glide time between your turnovers. And when there are long pauses between strokes, the momentum from propulsion is lost, leading to lost speed. If stroke rate is too fast, it could be an indication that the arms are slipping through the water and the strokes are not pulled efficiently, losing that distance per stroke. There's often a lot of emphasis on increasing stroke rate, especially for novice swimmers, as it does quite often see an initial improvement in speed. But before you dive in and go windmilling your arms around, there are a few things that you need to consider.
First, technique. Good technique is the foundation of fast swimming. Don't speed up your arms at the detriment of your technique, especially the catch. You can easily speed up your arm stroke rate by cutting out the first bit of your catch or the last bit of your pull, but you just go slower for more effort.
High stroke rate is essential for sprints and those short distances, but having a powerful and fast stroke is going to propel you through the water faster, but it is going to be costly on energy.
Decreasing your distance per stroke is okay when you increase your stroke rate, as long as the decrease is not too dramatic and your speed is actually increasing.
When swimming at a lower stroke rate over longer distances, it's the hips that will drive the rotation. However, when you're sprinting, it's the shoulders that will be leading that rotation to enable that high stroke rate and that really fast speed. But it's worth noting that this is not sustainable over longer distances, only suitable for sprinting.
Increasing your stroke rate whilst maintaining a good technique will take time. Don't go for too dramatic an increase to allow your body some time to adapt to that new stroke rate.
I feel it's time for a bit of a GTN experiment. I mean, nothing too scientific here, but we want to see if we can find out our optimal stroke rate. Or I should say, James's optimal stroke rate. He's going to be our guinea pig today, and we're doing 3 lots of 50 meters flat out. The first one, James is going to try and maintain a much lower stroke rate than normal while still swimming as hard as he can. He's then going to repeat it and do a really high stroke rate. And finally, he's going to swim at his normal stroke rate when he's not thinking at all and just going flat out. And then we can compare the numbers. How are you feeling, James? Ready? All right, James, this is your low stroke rate as fast as you can. You ready?
Yep.
Ready, go. All right, your second attempt, this time moving your arms as fast as you can while still swimming max effort. You ready? Up. Last one, and this is your natural, so you don't have to think about your arms, just think about swimming fast. Ready? Up. Well, James, first of all, thank you for being the guinea pig and putting yourself through that. Did it feel weird doing the
It felt weird to swim hard again. It's been a while. But yeah, I mean, my normal stroke rate was definitely the fastest. It was what I was most comfortable with.
Like we expected.
Yeah, it didn't feel weird or anything. It felt normal. And then the high stroke rate was a bit slower. Probably because I was dropping a whole bunch of water. To get my stroke rate higher, I was cutting out the catch in the front a little bit. Maybe cutting out the end of my pull.
Yeah.
As expected. The slow stroke rate was significantly slower. I just couldn't get the power and keep going at that speed when I was trying to keep my arms going over slowly. Probably because I don't have that good a technique.
Well, also, I mean, you don't normally swim over that distance, so it'd be interesting to see how this would actually look if you were doing it over a typical Ironman distance. I mean, maybe that's an experiment for the future if you're feeling up for it.
Absolutely, yeah. You can do a 3.8K swim and I'll count your strokes. Yeah.
Thanks. So how do you go about finding your optimum stroke rate? Well, swimming fast and efficiently is all about finding that perfect balance between your distance per stroke and your stroke rate. And the distance of the event you're doing, the size of you physically, and also your swimming background will all come into play here. Basically, you need to do some experimentation. I'd recommend over a longer distance than James did. In fact, focus on the pace that you would swim at for your target race. The key is to try and increase that stroke rate, but not at the detriment to your distance per stroke. If you're increasing your stroke rate, but your stroke is getting shorter, then you're probably slipping the water or missing a part of the pull. Basically, keep an eye on your pace, your effort, your distance per stroke, and your stroke rate. Now, realistically, you're unlikely to have a coach on poolside giving you regular updates of your distance per stroke and your stroke rate. So you're going to have to improvise and work out some of these metrics yourself. If you're swimming in a pool with a clock, you should know your swim pace, and then you can simply count the strokes you're doing per length. So you'll start to get an idea of what's normal for you and whether you're changing that. And it's worth noting that actually quite a few watches will give you your actual stroke rate and distance per stroke anyway, although maybe that's more of a metric you look at afterwards. Now, I'm presuming you are maybe wanting to increase your stroke rate. Well, if that is the case, we've got a couple of drills for you that will help you do so. Head up freestyle, otherwise known as water polo. You're swimming front crawl with your eyes and your mouth out of the water. Now, this is quite intense, so limit it to just 25 meters at a time. It'll require a strong leg kick, but also a naturally faster stroke rate in order to keep your head out of the water and support your torso. 2-2-2. Take 2 strokes with just your left arm, 2 with just your right, then 2 full cycles. You'll find that with the lack of propulsion on the single arm during the recovery phase, you'll naturally want to increase the stroke rate. And this should then carry over to the full stroke cycle. Any changes in swimming technique take time and patience, and stroke rate is no different.
Yeah, so build it up gradually and make small adjustments, and make sure you don't throw away any of your great technique trying to increase your stroke rate. We hope you've enjoyed this video. If you have, hit that thumbs up to support the channel, and don't forget to subscribe for more videos on swimming and everything triathlon in the future.